Hey guys, this is Lasher here from DMAP Official, and I'm just going to be going over a quick deck overview of how I run Inzektors and how I like to run Inzektors. But as a brief message, this is the channel between me and another friend of mine. We'll be posting things like booster openings, general news, stuff like that. We can make it out to the tournaments and stuff like that. We don't really live in an area where going to tournaments is really an easy thing to do. So if we can get out there, we will get out there. We'll do coverage of that, stuff like that. I'll be posting videos from both Dueling Network and YGO Pro or Dev Pro, whichever I feel like using that day. I do play in real life, and I usually run Inzektors, so this is the deck that I like to run. It might not be the best thing for, say, competitive play, but it can be easily modified for competitive play. So let's begin with the deck. Obviously, I run one Inzektor Hornet because that's the current ban list. This is a necessary card in my opinion because of a few main reasons. Well, actually, one main reason. This is the staple card for Inzektors, and some people might disagree with me. They might rather go with things like Hopper and things like that to get direct damage. But I like Hornet because, as you'll see later on, I don't really run too many traps. I do run spells, but the spells really aren't too good for taking out face downs and things like that. They're more specifically for buffing up my creatures or swapping a teeny creature for a bigger creature, things like that. So Hornet's a necessity in my opinion. So we run one Hornet, one Dragonfly for obvious reasons. It's just good for getting more Inzektors out of the field. We're running 3 Senti. Sentis are basically, besides Hornet, the staple creature that you're going to use, in my opinion, for Inzektors, because they're 1600 attack, they can be buffed up pretty easy, and because of their effect, after the Inzektor Hornet goes to grave, after I pop something with it, I can add an Inzektor card to my hand, specifically another Senti or a Dragonfly if I haven't gotten one out at this point. Basically, it gives me a lot of versatility. Then we run 2 Hoppers. Again, this isn't really the best competitive deck. It's more or less a budget build because I'm cheap and things like that. So we're running the 3 Senti, the 2 Hoppers. Hoppers are also good because again I can get this in my hand, drop it right away. It's a 1700 attack. But more specifically, a lot of people will like to have these in their hand or in their grave because if you equip it to something, then you can attack directly. But run the 2 Ladybugs, well, 3 Ladybugs, sorry. 3 Ladybugs, because, again, this really, when I get my Exceed monsters, when I get more Exceed monsters, I just noticed I started recording halfway. When I get more Exceed monsters, I'll have more use for these, but as of right now, they're really just filler, and they're really just to activate the effects of, say, Dragonfly or Senti, if I have to. They run 2 Card Trooper, just for mill, because, it's good to have things like, basically it's good to have things like Hopper, Hornet, and Ladybug in grave. A lot of people will tell you that Hornet is literally useless unless it's in your grave, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Blackring Zephyros, which I don't really like running because, well, I'll admit it, I don't really know how to run him, but he is a good card. He is a 1600, and he can get some damage done. So 1 DD Crow, another good card because if I get somebody who's like running a lot of shit that runs from the graveyard, then I do have DD Crow to remove that from play. 2 Mystic, and this is where it starts saying, hey, this guy's running on the cheap side. I don't have the money to afford things like tour guides right now, so I do use the Mystic Tomatoes in place of that. 1 Gores, obviously it's a staple card. 1 Tragodia. I don't really like running Tragodia, but it is a good card in this deck because I can get it out of my hand and I can do a lot of damage downrange. A lot of Inzektors are teeny guys. They don't do too much damage, so you have to really rely on their effects. And if that's not doing me well, then I have things like Gores and I have things like Tragodia to get the job done. I used to run Dark-Armed Dragon in this, but I realized it was clogging my hand up too often, so I took that out in replacement of a Monster Reborn, and 1 Spirit Reaper. I consider Spirit Reaper to be pretty much a staple card. It does a good job, and pretty much if I get this down in defense, then I'm good. Like, it can't be taken out unless they use something like a dark hole, or things like that. So pretty much can hold them off for a while I'm busy getting out my better creatures that I need to win the game. Now over to the spell base, we run 3 Inzektors. Staple cards for Inzektor decks, in my opinion, because like I said earlier, the Inzektor monsters that you're running with are more often than not really teeny guys, so they can't really do too much heavy lifting, heavy hitting, things like that. So you have these, and plus, if they get destroyed, I can add a monster. I can add an Inzektor monster in my graveyard back to my hand. So that's another bonus. Say one of my Sentis get taken out, then if this is equipped to one of my Sentis and my Senti gets taken out, then I can just add the Senti back to my hand. 1 heavy, 3 MST, staples. Book of Moon helps me get rid of those pesky Exceed monsters, helps me get rid of those pesky bigger guys that have low defense, so I consider that a staple card for the most part too. 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Smashing Ground, 1 Allure of Darkness. In a deck like this, it's pretty much, you know, it's useful because I can draw 2 and I'm not going to have any problem discarding a dark monster because every monster in this deck is dark. 1 Foolish Burial to get that Hornet Engrave. 1 Dark Hold to field nuke if I really have to. If I'm not doing a good job field nuking with Hornet, then I have this as backup. 1 Creature Swap to trade something like a small ladybug or something like that for a bigger monster, say like a Blue Eyes or something crazy like that. And an enemy controller. I had 2 of these. Pretty sure I messed up. But run 2 enemy controllers because, again, I would rather be able to switch out little team monsters and things of that nature to be able to do some different things. This will be part 1 of Inzektors, and later I will probably do a video on DN or YGO Pro explaining how I run Inzektors. I'll give you a short summary of how I run Inzektors. Field Nuke and Inzektcaliburs. So basically I'll use Hornet to field nuke, and then once the field is clear, I'll start, just basically attaching Inzektcaliburs to Centipede or Hopper. I preferably Hopper because he already has 100 more attack than Senti. So if I do 3 Inzektcaliburs on a Hopper, then I'm doing some pretty heavy damage, and I can pretty much field nuke like that and just win the game. My win percentage with this is pretty high. I haven't really been playing it too much lately because I've been really busy, and I've been also working on Phantom Beastcraft, which I am going to do a deck profile on, probably on YGO Pro. When I get the money, I will probably actually build a real Phantom Beastcraft deck, and when the cards, when I get the availability for the cards, it'll be a lot easier to do a deck profile, but until that happens, you'll have to deal with a YGO Pro or a DN deck profile, which I don't always like doing. Oh hey, I missed the traps. Okay, sorry. So, yeah, again, another enemy controller. 7 Tools of the Bandits just to negate a trap. Mirror Force just to negate, attacks. Call the Haunted, get my Sentis back on my field if I really need to, and a Magic Drain because nobody runs these, and I personally think they're kind of useful. So that is the basics on how I like to run Inzektors. Well, my Inzektor deck list, and you will be getting a basic on, well, how I run Inzektors pretty soon, hopefully. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day.